This Week in Connecticut with Dennis House starts now.
Welcome to This Week in Connecticut. Greetings, everyone. I'm Dennis House. Help from many of you across Connecticut continues to flow to Ukraine. Today, you'll meet someone who jumped on a plane to go there and help. Also, siblings from Ukraine here in our state right now, her harrowing tale of escape. Also, we talked to the local mom and teacher who made history with her election to the state capitol, and meet the 20-something taking on a powerful incumbent. And with St. Patrick's Day approaching, will flights from Connecticut to Ireland come back?
We are devastated, shocked, and it's a mix of emotion where we feel helpless. Nobody in Ukraine believed that this could go as far.
And what would you say to President Vladimir Putin if you saw him right now?
You know, there's something to be said when somebody's going through a difficult time and you could give them a hot meal and, you know, a smile.
It is St. Patrick's Day this week and St. Patrick's Day weekend. What's the possibility of returning Aer Lingus to Bradley?
I hope to just be a voice for my community, to be able to champion issues that, you know, are important to them.
Why do you think more Muslim women don't go into politics in the United States?
Representative Larson is the fifth highest recipient of corporate PAC money out of all the House Democrats. So I think it's time to try something new.
You must run into some people who say he can't be beaten. But how are you going to do it? What's your strategy? First up on This Week, The Lead. A well-known businessman from Connecticut is on the border of Ukraine and Poland right now, helping refugees get food. His cooking is famous across Hartford and New Haven, and now he's cooking for the hungry and homeless in Europe. That's in a moment, but first, the latest on the situation on the ground. More than 2 million refugees have escaped the country. They're mostly crossing the border into Poland. That's where warm food and warm hospitality awaits them as they figure out their next move. Meanwhile, more companies are pulling out of Russia. They include Burger King, Disney, Starbucks, McDonald's, and Stanley Black & Decker. This as gas prices have reached all-time highs in the rest of the world, including here in Connecticut. State lawmakers are trying to find ways to relieve drivers at the pump.
We're here today to call on all Connecticut legislators to immediately suspend the state's gross receipts tax on gasoline. We are also demanding that Connecticut's federal delegation follow through on calls to halt the federal 18.4 cent per gallon tax.
Right now, we can afford to do a forgiveness or a gas tax holiday or some type of a rebate.
Tom Dudchik and the Capitol Report crew will have analysis on both plans after this broadcast. And now, a story of survival. We talked to a Ukrainian native working here and his sister who just fled that war-torn country. Tell me, when you see the images on television of the Russians bombing out schools, wiping out bridges, people being shot at, what goes through your mind? This is your homeland.
Yeah, we're devastated. I used to live there until I left Ukraine 15 years ago. Seeing my family, my grandma's there, my cousins are there, my uncle is there, my sister just left, and seeing all of these people risking their lives and just because they want to live in a freedom and a democracy, we're devastated, shocked, and it's a mix of emotion where we feel helpless.
This is Taras Korzak and his sister Yulia. They were born in Ukraine, which was then the Soviet Union. Taras emigrated to Connecticut 15 years ago and learned English. Yulia just left Ukraine last week with her daughter to flee the fighting in her homeland. Yulia's husband had to stay behind because he may have to serve in the Ukrainian military.
Tell me about your trip leaving Ukraine. Was it difficult in terms of running into Russians and attacks and things like that? Did you see any destruction?
It took her 6 days to get here to Europe. She left right at the day when the bombing started, and she went to the mountains, and she packed enough supplies to just go through the day and enough clothes to go through the day.
Taras works at Juniper Home Care in West Hartford, a company that was founded by someone just like him. Andre Brell also fled the Soviet Union.
Tell me about your country. What do you love about it?
Personally, my favorite part about our country is the mountains and Carpathian and the people. People are so friendly. We have, all my friends are like my family there. It's the place where I go back every year, and there's a reason why I go back there.
As for going back there again, both Taras and Yulia fear their country will look vastly different.
Do you think you'll be able to go back home, or do you think your husband will come here.
She really wants to go home and go back to her country. She's been telling me actually every day since she came. She's like, I want to go back home. I want to go back home. She didn't want to leave even from Poland back to the US here.
I have a question for both of you. If Vladimir Putin was sitting right here, what would you say to him?
I would say stop this war. There's people, innocent people cannot die. We cannot see this anymore. This is the 21st century, and my heart breaks seeing this every single day. Seeing that people, just yesterday, there was a family that were shot with 2 kids trying to leave with all their clothes. They're trying to leave and run away.
And what would you say to President Vladimir Putin if you saw him right now, if he was right here? What would you tell him?
You cannot have a conversation with a person like this. This is a Hitler of today's time.
The nonprofit World Central Kitchen has set up shop in Europe to help feed Ukrainian refugees displaced because of the war. And local chef from right here in Connecticut, Jamie McDonald of Bears Smokehouse, the famous Bears, is joining us now from the Poland-Ukraine border right now. He's helping feed those in need. And Jamie, first of all, thank you so much for being with us here today. You're in Poland, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're the town that we're stationed out of is about 5 miles from the border where we're doing our cooking, and then we go serve at the actual border crossing itself.
So I've known you and what you've been doing for years, so I was not surprised to learn that you were going to Ukraine to help people. You've helped people in the United States after disasters. What made you decide to get on a plane and go overseas?
Just seeing what was going on and knowing that I had the ability and really the opportunity to be able to help these people. And my way of thinking, you can't have that and not go help. You know, there's just so much suffering and tragedy going on, and you know, like you said, I've done this in other places, and you know, there's something to be said when somebody's going through a difficult time, and you could give them a hot meal and, you know, a smile, and it even if it brightens their day for that second or a minute or the next hour, it's worth it.
So how will this operation work? Will you be going into Ukraine and cooking there?
No, not as of now. They still don't have clearance to do that. We're supplying food for 5 of the different border crossings up and down the Poland-Ukraine border. Where we see them at is right as soon as they're crossing the border into Poland, and from there, it's not even close to being the end of their journey. From there, they get on a bus and either go to the train station in town or to a shelter. So they don't have a lot of time to sit and relax, and they're itching to get going and hopefully get to someplace safe.
Jimmy, you're a dad. When you see these kids and young people, what goes through your mind?
I mean, just like anybody else, and I think that's really what about this that really gets a lot of people is it's so relatable. You know, you see all these kids and the mothers and not a lot of fathers. You know, I'd say so far, at least 80% of the people I've seen so far are mothers with children and elderly, because the men have stayed back to fight. And you just think that could be my kids, that could be my neighbors, that could be, you know, anybody you know. And you could see it that this in most cases taken them days to travel to the border, a lot of times walking, taking the train in overcrowded conditions. And then once they get to the border, it's a good 10 to 12 hour wait in line just to get across. And it's cold here. It's been in the 20s. It's been snowing. So imagine doing that with your whole world is on your back and in a suitcase, along with small kids, babies. I've seen people carrying their pets.
What kind of food are you preparing over there?
Right now, basic. Like today, we cooked a bunch of different stews, some borscht, probably about 10,000 meals worth. A lot of hot chocolate for the kids, probably about 100 gallons today, and just hot stuff that they could carry with them. That's easy to eat.
Jamie, what can your smokehouse, your Bears customers, and your supporters back here in Connecticut do to help this effort?
Just donate. You could either donate directly to World Central Kitchen via their website, or I do have a donation drive going on Facebook, and we're also donating 25% of all of our sauce and rub sales directly to World Central Kitchen. It's what they need. It's the money. Every dollar goes to helping feed people, to establishing the kitchens, to all the infrastructure that goes along with it. And it's really, truly amazing what they do in such a short amount of time.
Jamie McDonald, the CEO and founder of Bears Smokehouse, with several locations across Connecticut, including the original one in Hartford, downtown Hartford. We thank you so much for being with us here today. Thanks, Jamie. Best of luck over there.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
House family might have to have some barbecue for dinner. Also, a footnote to Yulia's story. She told me one of the first things she did after emigrating here from Ukraine was to sign up for English lessons. She's already started taking them. St. Patrick's Day festivities are starting, and with Connecticut being one of the most Irish states, what's the status of those flights in and out of Bradley? We'll find out. Plus, honoring a political trailblazer during this Women's History Month, and the progressive candidate looking to unseat a longtime congressman. That and more when This Week in Connecticut returns.